What's the capabilities of Spring AI? What does it provide?
So Spring AI is your one-stop shop for AI engineering. We in the Java and Spring communities in particular are in a uniquely amazing position right now because 90% of AI engineering is writing text and sending it to a REST endpoint. The magic of AI is happening in OpenAI servers. For us, this is just a REST call. There's no schema, it's just human language text. So all of the interesting stuff you see people doing today, your business logic, the things that drive your business and the data that feeds your business, that's all governed and controlled by and orchestrated by Spring-based microservices. Sure, some people are going to use Python to train new models, but that's not most of us. In the same way that most of us aren't building our own SQL database, most of us don't need to do that either.
How does AI fit into all of this?
So, Spring is a set of frameworks, Spring Boot on top of that, and a bunch of verticals on top of that, serving different use cases, including microservices, batch processing, integration, data, security, whatever, right? And we have one called Spring AI, which goes GA, by the way.
I just assumed it was GA just by the amount I hear about it.
It's mature, people are using it, it's growing all the time, it's very, very popular, but obviously we've just wanted to get to a point where we had the things that mattered, and I think we're there.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the AI Native Dev. And we're at DevOps UK today, and joining me is the wonderful Josh Long.
Hi, buddy.
Josh, how are you doing?
Oh, so good. I'm at DevOps UK, DevOps Hook, as we call it.
DevOps Hook. Josh, we go back like how long? Many years? 15 years?
Too long.
2010 maybe?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And I've been a fan since 2011.
Was 2010 a bad year?
No, I'm just kidding. You created you brought so much joy to my heart, but then you brought joy to the world. I remember the virtual jug.
Yes.
That was, I just think about that all the time. That was such a genius idea. A decade ahead of its time. It took a pandemic for the rest of the world to realize, oh yeah, genius.
Yeah. And that's still going now. There's almost 20,000 people on the virtual jug these days.
Wow.
Apparently.
It's crazy.
So, people know Josh Long as the Spring advocate, the advocate in the Java space. But how long have you been with Spring, Pivotal, VMware, Broadcom?
I don't know.
2010.
Since 2010.
2010.
And still going strong.
Yeah.
But it's about as long as I've known you, actually.
Yeah.
It's been coincident.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, awesome. And today we're going to be talking about Spring AI.
One hopes.
We'll be talking a little bit about perhaps why people will use AI when they're typically a Java developer, Spring developer. So we'll talk a little bit about the reasoning behind why people use it.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into some demo as well to actually show Spring AI in action. But I guess, first of all, what's the capabilities of Spring AI? What does it provide?
So Spring AI is your one-stop shop for AI engineering. Mm-hmm. And I think we in the Java and Spring communities in particular are in a uniquely amazing position right now. Just an amazing position because where most people are going to use AI is in integration with their existing business logic and applications and services. That's all written in Spring. That's all written on the JVM and Kotlin and Java and whatever, right? That you're already there. They just want to hang AI integrations off of that code and make it work. Your business logic, the things that drive your business and the data that feeds your business, that's all governed and controlled by and orchestrated by Spring-based microservices. Mm-hmm. And so this is a really natural place to start your AI journey, I think, is to enable access to that data and to that business logic from your AI models and via your AI models. So, sure, some people are going to use Python to train new models, but that's not most of us. Most of us, in the same way that most of us aren't building our own SQL database, in C or whatever, most of us don't need to do that either.
Yeah.
So I think we're in a uniquely great position. And when it comes to production-worthy, scalable, fast, secure, observable production, that's, the JVM there's nothing like it. Nothing like that,
Yeah. Okay, so AI, how does AI fit into all of this?
Well, we have this project,
point of view?
Right? We've got, Spring is a set of frameworks, Spring Framework, and then Spring Boot on top of that, and a bunch of verticals on top of that, serving different use cases, including microservices, batch processing, integration, data, security, whatever, right? And we have one called Spring AI, which goes GA, by the way, 1.0 GA 20th of May. So we had ambitions, I think. I don't know if I'm speaking out of school here or not. I think at one point we hoped it would go in GA. But and you're not going to believe this, the AI space has changed.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
No, you.
If there's one constant,
right?
It's the AI space.
AI's change is too much.
Yeah.
It's too quick, too fast, too much, too whatever. We have a whole team of people working on this, and even they And we got, it's one of our most busy open source projects, right? It's the star history is like a hockey puck, just hockey stick rather.
Yeah.
Just through the roof, meteoric rise in popularity and GitHub issues and contributions and everything. And it's So every time we think we're about to settle down and reach a GA mouse or GA release, whole new paradigm gets dropped in our laps.
I just assumed it was GA just by the amount I hear about it.
It's mature. People are using it. It's growing all the time. It's very, very popular. But obviously, we've just wanted to get to a point where we had the things that mattered, and I think we're there.
So as soon as there's a week of no change or May 20th,
whichever should happen first. Yeah, well, I think it's going to be May 20th either way. At that point, we're on the 7th of May, so got a couple weeks.
Yeah,
we don't even have 2 weeks of that.
In fact, depending on when this gets released, we could be around May 20th. It may be May 27th, actually.
Actually, that may be 7 days too late. Yeah.
Really? So let's just say Spring AI is out today.
Yeah, it's out.
Yeah. Okay.
Go get the bits.
Yeah.
Fresh off the press. We might even have the first patch release. Who knows?
Yeah.
By the time you watch this. But all that to say, things are moving quickly, and that's okay. That's okay. But remember, we want to pair the innovation in the AI space with the idiomatic sort of approach to building apps that Spring is always so embodied, and we want that to build upon some of the pillars that Spring has always talked about, right? Portable service abstractions to isolate you from the differences between different models and image models, chat models, transcription models, etc. Dependency injection, aspect-oriented programming, and Spring Boot style auto configuration.
Yep.
So you take those 4 pillars, and did I say 3 earlier? I was talking about 4.
Yeah.
And you get an approach that it gives you purchase in this new strange land, right? It gives you the ability to hit the ground running. You already know all that stuff. You already know the component model. It's just a matter of applying those facets of your understanding of Spring to this new domain.
And you're going to demo Spring AI.
I sure am. I'm going to
talk a little bit about as we go through.
We're going to build a very simple application here because we're kind of pressed on time. But I wanted to demonstrate a simple application that helps. We're going to build an assistant to help people adopt dogs, right? And I talk about dogs all the time because I think it's really cute. And I've got a dog, and I talk about this in particular. I talk about my dog, who's look. He's not the best dog, but he's mine, and He's a good dog. He's still a good dog. He's Look at that dog. That's a cute doggo right there. Yeah. So all that to say, not good, but he's ours, and his name is Peanut. Okay, and Peanut is the worst dog. Except then I met this other dog I learned about this other dog in the pandemic, whose name is Prancer. Prancer turns out even more of a spicy dog, right? And this lady was trying to find a new home for this dog, and she put out this hysterical ad saying, "Okay, I've tried for the last several months to post this dog for adoption and make him sound palatable. The problem is he's just not. There's not a very big market for neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dogs that look like gremlins." And she continues, "If you own a Chihuahua, you probably know what I'm talking about. He's literally the Chihuahua meme that describes him as being 50% hate and 50% tremble." She continues, "I kind of liked him better that way. He was quiet and just laid on the couch, didn't bother anyone. I was excited to see him come out of his shell and become a real dog. I'm convinced at this point that he's not a real dog, but more like a vessel for a traumatized Victorian child that now haunts our home." And she continues, and this goes on for a long time, and she signs off, "Oh, he's only 2 years old and will probably live to be 21 through pure spite. So take that into account if you're interested." That said, super cute, right? Like, that's a cute dog.
Is that a cute dog?
That is a cute dog. I'd pet that dog. Oh, look at him.
I've got two Labradors. I don't know if
the big dogs are great. Yeah. But my dog, just like this dog, small. They have the Napoleon complex, something about it.
Yeah, angry by default.
By default, and I don't know why, because I just want to pet this cute little guy.
Yeah.
So I think about this dog a lot too, rent free all the time, right? I mean, just how did such a dog exist? And by the way, this ad went viral, right? This ad went viral. So, for example, here's People Magazine talking about Prancer, the demonic Chihuahua. Here's USA Today talking about Prancer, the demonic Chihuahua. Here's BuzzFeed talking about the nightmare Chihuahua, the viral nightmare Chihuahua. And of course, here's the New York Times talking about Prancer, the demonic Chihuahua, right? So very, very famous dog. And I thought, well, that's nice. That's good that people learned about this dog. But that's not how most people roll, right? Most people don't find dogs by finding them on the internet, right? Like, you go to a shelter and you have a conversation with somebody, and you interview to discover the dog of your dreams, or in this case, nightmares. So what I wanted to do is to build such an assistant to help people go through that process, right?
Okay.
To find the right dog. So we're going to go to start.spring.io. I've already got this dog database here, and you can see there's our doggo Prancer.
Mhm.
His ID is 45, and his name is Prancer, right? He's in a Postgres database. So we're going to build an application here. We're going to call it Assistant.
Is a Postgres database strong enough to contain Prancer?
It is a very, very tough ask. Yeah. GraalVM, we use the web stuff. We'll use OpenAI. Now, I'm going to use OpenAI. It's just a very good model, and a lot of people probably have access to it, but it's not the only model, not even close.
Yeah.
Here in data privacy sensitive Europe, you might prefer something like a Llama, which is a fine choice, or alternatively, we got things like Bedrock and Gemini and everything. I mean, just there's dozens and dozens of different models that we officially support, and the ones that we don't officially support, most of them speak the OpenAI API, and so you can talk to them via our OpenAI integration, right? So I'm going to bring in OpenAI. I've got the web support, don't I? Oh, I took that away. I'll bring in the Spring Boot actuator support, and I'm going to bring in. I need a vector store. Now you can use. Look, just type vector store, and you can see you've got Milvus, you got Neo4j, Pinecone, MariaDB, Weaviate, Oracle, Redis, Qdrant, Azure, Apache Cassandra, Chroma, Elasticsearch, MongoDB, PGVector, TypeSense, Azure Cosmos DB, etc. I'm going to use PGVector store because I've got a SQL database in Postgres. This is a plugin, right? Vector plugin. So we're going to go ahead and open that up.
So what you did there was you added a bunch of dependencies into your Spring project, which then allows you to effectively build that into, I presume, a Maven POM file.
Yep.
When you build that, it will pull all the Java dependencies straight into your Spring project.
You know it. And actually, you know what I did? You know what I did wrong there? I forgot to select PG. No, I forgot to select DevTools. Okay. So I'm going to actually go down to M7 here because I don't know what they changed something in M8, and I don't remember the idiomatic way to do it already. But I'll use that. It's downloading the internet, which is not a good thing. We're actually on conference Wi-Fi.
We are.
No, we're not. Stop that. Stop it. No. the gall. I'm live streaming here. Okay. So IntelliJ is amazing, but if you start the project in IntelliJ before adding the DevTools, it won't enable the DevTools integration.
Gotcha.
So I retroactively added the DevTools there. Didn't I? I did not. Oh, that is so awkward. Okay, we'll go back over here. Copy and paste. DevTools is there now, right? There you go.
It is.
So now we'll go back again, do this whole thing again. Normally you don't have to do any of this stuff, but I've screwed it up twice now. Okay. POM.xml and M7. There we are. Fantastic. Reload. So here's our application. And we're going to build a controller that'll act as the thing that we can ask questions to, right? So system controller. And just have an endpoint here with the user context and then the inquiry endpoint, right? Inquire. So I'll say string inquire. And we're going to use, to do our work, we're going to talk to a chat model. And that chat model, by the way, is going to be connected. We're going to connect to it via OpenAI, and we have a key there. Now, friends, I've already exported an environment variable here, like so, right? So that's already done in my shell, and Spring Boot will normalize that into the property that you just saw there a second ago. These two are the same, but you need to specify that yourself when you connect, okay? We're also going to connect to a data source, not that one, Spring data source URI, JDBC, Postgres, QL, right? Localhost, my database, and then we'll create the username, my user, and then the password is secret, okay? Go back to here, and we're going to use the chat client that was just, there's a chat model, and then you can use a chat client. You can create as many of these chat clients as you want that will talk to the chat model behind the scenes. I'm going to inject the chat client builder and build a new one, and here I'm going to put my defaults, and then I'll use that model here to answer questions from the user to this endpoint, right? So call.content, etc., and then the prompt is a user prompt coming from the user, and that'll be a request parameter, right? Request param string question. So confusing, ignore this user path variable for now, okay? Let's just try this. So we're going to start that up.
Okay, so a user can hit that endpoint, that inquire endpoint, passing in a question as that variable, that param variable,
right?
That request param. That then goes to the chat client,
Which talks
does
to the
some
model.
stuff, talks to the model, which is OpenAI in this case, does some stuff, provides an answer, passes it back to you here.
Right. Says, nice to see you. Nice to meet you, Josh. How can I assist you today?
Nice.
Great. So we made it wiggle, right? There's a dial tone there.
Go by the dog.
Yeah, right. Well, what's my name? I don't have access to. Okay, so it's already forgotten me.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Quite like the first time we met. I said hi, and you're like, and then moved on, and we didn't talk for a year.
I can't believe you're lying, John.
So anyway, it doesn't know.
Yeah.
So we need to help it. Because remember, you use ChatGPT, you use Cloud Desktop, whatever. They have memory, they have conversational memory, but that's not the case for the models, right?
Yeah.
They have APIs.
So we need to continue that context. We need to send that context back to it every time. Right?
Yeah, and the way you do that is by creating configuring an advisor. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a per user map, and I'm going to pass this chat memory advisor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So up. There we go. And I'll go down here, and then the advisor, the map will say compute if absent user, right? And I'm just going to create a new one if it doesn't exist, and I'll store it in memory. Now, there's other implementations of this chat memory interface that you can use that will write to different abstractions, right? You can do like Neo4j and JDBC, and I think there's one Redis coming along. I don't know. It's all sorts of JDBC, of course, all that stuff. So, okay, this is an advisor. This is like a filter, right? It's a preprocessor on the requests intended for the model. And basically, as we have a conversation with the model, this will get stored per user in that map. And then it's a transcript, in effect, of everything we said. And that'll be retransmitted to the model on every subsequent request so that the model remembers, we talked about A, B, and C. When that person asks about A, B, and C, remember it, right? So here we go. So now we go back and we say, my name is Josh. Great. What's my name? Your name is Josh. Yep. Fine. How do you do? Yep. Right? So it's now got memory. But let's ask, but this is actually kind of a problem, right? Like, which is what's 2 plus 2, right? Yeah, okay, great. But it's not supposed to be helping people with their homework. It's supposed to be a model to help people adopt a dog. Clearly, we've kind of wandered off in the deep end here.
And this is interesting because you see a ton of companies. What was the there was a couple of big ones. I think one was it
Amazon.
Chrysler or someone where they were basically getting it to like write a bunch of like malicious code and things like that from the sites, which is kind of
Amazon for a moment. I think their app they have an assistant there.
Yeah.
And you can actually somebody prompt poisoned it.
Yeah.
And got it to generate code for them instead of helping them with shopping.
It was Amazon then. Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what we want. So we don't want this thing getting too far off in the weeds. We have a mission. We want people to adopt dogs.
Unless you wanted to know how many 2 dogs plus another 2 dogs could be.
Right.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is to give it a system prompt. The system prompt is the overall tone and tenor. So var system, okay, here we are, and cat desktop talk system. I happen to have a system prompt. Okay, I'll paste that there. You know what I just did that felt wrong? It's the wrong tool. It's the wrong one.
Yeah.
There, that's better.
Do you know? So when you switched from cat to dog there, I was about to make that joke and I thought, oh no, the only reason I know that joke is because you said it last time I saw it a couple of months ago.
I love it. So, okay, that's better, right? So we're going to say, you are an AI-powered assistant to help people adopt a dog from the adoption agency called Pooch Palace, with locations in Antwerp, Seoul, Tokyo, Singapore, Paris, Mumbai, New Delhi, Barcelona, San Francisco, and London. That's where we are in Devaxuk. And information about the dogs available will be presented below. If there's no information, return a polite response suggesting we don't have any dogs available.
I bet if you put 2 plus 2 in that prompt, it will still give you 4.
Sure, but we don't want it to.
No.
Okay, so that's a system prompt. That's going to dictate the manner in which it responds to us, right? It'll try and frame all responses in terms of that mission, that overarching mission. Let's see what it says, actually. Yeah, it helps, but it gets us back on track.
It's always trying to help, right? That's
the
thing with AI. It's like it has all that background information. It has a specific bit of context.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's going to forget all the other information. It still knows how to answer your question.
Well, you can be very stern with it. You can say, under no circumstances are you to ever respond to anything having nothing to do with blah blah blah, right?
And then you get into the prompt engineering game.
Yeah, and it's really
of it convincing you that this is, or of a user convincing that actually this isn't the case.
You get into a whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, by the way, that's a good point. A prompt, by the way, this is why I say that Java and Spring are so well situated, because 90% of AI engineering is writing text and sending it to a REST endpoint.
Yeah.
Right? When you use OpenAI here, we're not doing this. The magic of AI is happening in OpenAI servers.
Yeah.
Right? For us, this is just a REST call.
Yeah.
And it's not even a particular. There's no schema. It's just human language text.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So all of the interesting stuff you see people doing today is just writing human language text to then chuck over to the OpenAI or any other API endpoint, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a system prompt, but let's say, do you have any neurotic dogs?
Gets asked every day though.
Surely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I don't have any specific information about neurotic dogs available for adoption in Booch Palace. Okay, so it doesn't. It's on the right track. It says it's acting as though it should be able to help us, but it just can't, right? But still, well, the whole point is to give it access to our data. That data lives in a database. So let's connect to our database. We're going to use Spring Data JDBC. I don't believe I was smart enough to add that. Okay. And the reason, that's just an ORM, right? I'm going to use the ORM to initialize my, so I'll create dog int ID, string name, string owner, string description. Okay. And, we're going to keep this. And I love Java records. Huge fan, right? Big fan. And I'm going to create a SQL access layer, a repository, using Spring Data JDBC. Whoa, hey. List CRUD repository. A list, is that a Freudian slip? List crude repository. Okay. There we are. So now I've got that repository. And what I want to do is I want to give my model access to the data, but not all of the data, right? Surely I could. I mean, I've only got, if you look at the database here, I've got, click on that, I guess. Hit test connection, hit apply, hit OK, go over here. And then go over here, tables, dog. There's like 18 records, right? It's not a big deal. These models today, some of the, Gemini has like 2 million. You can send a context. The context is more or less a token. It's a word, right? That's not exactly correct, but these models meter you in terms of how much data you send in, how much you get back out. And for some of these models like Gemini, it's 2 million tokens.
Yeah.
That's like whole books of the encyclopedia set, just huge amounts of data. Mm-hmm. So you could easily send these 18 meager records, but it's the principle of the thing. Because
scaling.
Yeah, because there's a cost, be it dollars and cents or euros or pounds, or complexity. Either way, you don't want to incur it for no reason. So what we should do is to subselect only the records that are germane to the query at hand and send that off to the model for final and further analysis, right? Mm-hmm. And the way we do that is by doing a search in a vector store, right? A vector store supports similarity search, right? So this process of using data to inform the response, that's called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. I think you know that, but I'm just catering to the audience here who may or may not know. And so what we're going to do is we're going to support RAG, but first we have to get the data into a vector store. What vector store? Well, like I said, you can use anything you want. In this case, we're going to be using PG Postgres as a vector store. So I'll tell Spring AI to initialize the vector store for us, and that's just going to be a table with a vector column in it. And in here, we'll have an initializer, application runner, vector store.
Does Spring work better with certain vector stores, or is it pretty agnostic?
It's agnostic.
It's agnostic.
Yeah, it's. I've done demos on dozens of different vector stores, and it's the same abstraction. That's the nice thing. So for each dog in the SQL database, I'm going to create a document. Okay, ID, name, description, and there's no schema here. That's the thing. It's just the trick is as long as it's consistent, right? So vector store.add, don't change the schema, because you can't compare unless they're the same, right? Mm-hmm. There you go. So I'm just initializing the schema there, actually. And what I've done is, I don't think I should have done that. Maybe I shouldn't have. It's fine. Let's just do it. We're going to initialize the schema once. Mm-hmm. We're going to initialize the vector store once. Mm-hmm. I think I did the Command-Shift-I, reload this. I have to do a full reload this time because I added a new type to the class path. Mm-hmm. Okay. So now it's going to call, for each time I call vector store.add, it's going to create an embedding for each of the strings, the documents, and that's going to call OpenAI's embedding endpoint, get me back the embedding. That's going to be written out to the vector store. And now I can then use that, right? So if we go over here, refresh.
The reason you do this through Spring AI versus using the OpenAI endpoints.
Well, because we have an abstraction, right?
Yeah.
Portable service abstractions. You inject a type of vector store, that's the interface, and that'll work whether you're using OpenAI or whether you're using Olama's embedding endpoints, or if you're using Neo4j, Elasticsearch, Weavient, Qdra, whatever, all of them.
Whatever vector stores, whatever models, you can just switch out in the background.
Yep, portable service abstraction. So that's...
Or if you wanted to use multiple.
Totally. Absolutely could. So there, I've done that. I've done this in terms of the vector store. By the way, being a vector store is not all that difficult, right? There's actually an in-memory one in Spring AI you can use. It's 300 lines of code.
Yeah.
Don't deploy this into production, right? 307. I stand corrected utterly.
Is this a little bit like the H2 style?
Well, H2 is actually amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know that we ever intend this for production, but it's just the point is it's
helps you run it locally, helps you run it
right, and it helps you kind of understand what's happening, which is that there's a semantic similarity search that's happening, cosine similarity, right? Cosine, there, that method here. The logic is, where is that?
Wasn't it done?
This. Here's the actual math, right? Given two arrays, two matrices, do the comparison and find the thing that's most applicable. Okay, so I've disabled that. And now what I want is for my AI model to know to consult this newly initialized vector store table with the vectors for each of the bits of data. There's the original string. Here's the embedding for that, right? Which is computed by OpenAI's embedding endpoint. And now I shall create a advisor. And that advisor will be a question answer advisor, which is only possible if I have the Spring AI advisor's vector store support in the class path. Okay. And so I'll create that here, and I'll say vector store, new question answer advisor, passing that in. Okay. Now restart. Now I can ask it questions, and as it processes all these requests, as this .ai chat client instance processes requests, it'll store things in memory using this advisor, and it'll also check the vector store for anything that might be pertinent to the request before sending it on. These are, again, filters or interceptors or whatever. So, do you have any neurotic dogs? Yes, meet Prancer, Fabu, right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is just text. Depending on what you're trying to do, you might have a, hey, come back. Record, dog adoption, suggestion, int, ID, string, name, string, description, right? Maybe I want a strongly typed thing. So rather than calling that, I can say this, right? And we change this return value. Okay, restart.
So this is now it being opinionated, providing an answer that says,
it's JSON.
There you go. Nice JSON.
Yeah.
Format output.
Structured output, exactly. So, you have lots of options here, but let's return to a string because, we want the content. That's this right here. Okay. Comment that out because it's dead code. All right. So now we've got this. Now look, the natural next step. I think any red-blooded human being will look at that and go, I want to adopt that dog. Great. When can I come over and get that dog?
Finally, I found that neurotic dog I was always after. Yeah.
Long time reunited, right? Okay, so I'm going to build a component to help it schedule. Well, maybe I'll call this a service or something, So a dog adoption scheduler, right? Now I'm going to have a method here called schedule adoption, right? And we'll have the dog name and int dog ID, and we're going to export this as a tool. And a tool is like just that. It's a thing in the toolbox of the model that it can use to talk to our business logic. So I'm going to create an arbitrary 3-day advance on this date, right? And I'll say this is 3 days in the future, instant. And I'm going to print out the results here just to confirm this got called. So there you go. Thank you, AI. I like that it doesn't do the last period. I don't know why. It's like I'm lazy. I can't do that here. Okay, and so we're going to make this tool available to Spring AI. And here, when your mom got upset and said, use your words, this is what she was talking about, right? Schedule an appointment to pick up or adopt a dog from a Booch Palace location. Okay?
Now, I presume you're going to add this as an MCP.
Well, we'll get to that. Let's local tool calling first.
Okay.
So,
Because this is why
the
the
dog.
description's important, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just even in general, right? before we talk about MCP, and we haven't yet, so thanks a lot for giving away the
I'm
plot.
so sorry.
No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding. Before we even get to that, we want to just prove that it works locally. So scheduling a dog, and let me get the dog ID.
I'll sit in the doghouse for a little bit. I know, right? It was just there.
Oh.
It was staring me in the face, Josh. I couldn't leave it there.
Just because it was doesn't mean it should.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Dr. Ian Malcolm. It's Dr. Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park. Just because you're scientists believe they could. They didn't stop to think whether they should.
They should.
Yeah.
Just because you're comedians. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, I've got the scheduler. I want to make the model aware of it and give it access as a tool.
Yep.
And a tool is it's literally just a function, right? It's just something that the scheduler, that the AI model can invoke.
Right, I see. So you can just add any number of tools to that builder essentially, and you just choose what it wants.
Absolutely. And by the way, that's why it's gonna depend on that description, the metadata there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have Prancer. Great. Let's ask the obvious follow-up question. I'm not sure if a exclamation mark is going to work well in the shell.
No.
Isn't that
yeah. When can I schedule an appointment to pick up? Nice. What's it going to respond with? Oh no.
Wait. When? Oh wait, is it just about the antecedent?
Interesting. Was it adequate properly?
Let me see. Default tools. It's there. Scheduler, dog adoption scheduler. Got my component. Tool param. What's the issue? I've changed the class path so much. I wonder. Also, I'm going to try reinitializing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just to shake the cobwebs. I don't know. So go over here. Take 512. Oh, hello. Oh, that's embarrassing. Okay. I just deleted the dog database. Don't do that. You won't get very far if you delete the inventory. Like, dogs are supposed to be... That's the whole point, is to keep them, right? Okay, we're back. We're so back. Dogs.
There we go.
Oh, I missed you guys.
There's Prancer.
Yeah, okay. Oh.
One of the nice things is it is quick to recycle the server, right?
I'm doing it the wrong way. Because what I should have done was I should have incepted the project, started Spring.io, add the dependencies, add DevTools, start up the project with DevTools in place, and then
it has the auto reloading.
Yeah, now it's like, it's not quite as good as zero turnaround.
That was many years ago. I can take it.
Yeah. So, let's see here. Before I forget, let me comment this out. Okay, Prancer. I wonder, to adopt Prancer.
Yay.
May 10th.
There you go.
Oh, goodness. See, it's May 7th.
Yeah.
Right? So 7 plus 3. Last I checked.
Mm-hmm.
Still 10. Okay? So that's worked. And you can confirm it's worked. There you go. It called the method.
Yeah.
So we gave the tools access to tools. We gave the model access to tools. And it made the decision. And you can have as many of these as you like. And again, I didn't have to provide schema. The signature of the method is itself the schema. That along with the human language, natural text in the description.
Mm-hmm. When does it think about getting a tool though? So if it has a list of tools, when does it think, yes, I do want to schedule something, and I will go ahead and actually run this tool?
One imagines that it would hallucinate something if you didn't give it a more specific answer, right? Mm-hmm. So I suppose it's looking at the available tools and says, okay, is this a question I could probably provide an answer to? Mm-hmm. Yes, but is there a tool that's promising to answer the same question for me? And so I'll choose that. And it really is sort of non-deterministic, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it does a pretty good job most of the time.
Yeah.
And I think this is where this is tool calling is where things start to get really interesting, because now the user interface is the chat box.
Yes.
Because it can invoke business functions from there, right? Mm-hmm. And it can drive important change. That's why so many companies are eager to send you, route you from human assistants to IVRs, whatever. Mm-hmm. And nowadays they're actually getting quite good. I don't know if they can solve all your problems. You can see how narrow their capabilities are unless you actually really finesse the prompts and all that. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, you can do a staggering amount of things just in this tool calling mechanism. Yeah. The problem is, as written, this is only something that's useful for my Spring app. Mm-hmm. I want to centralize that logic and I want to extract it. Mm-hmm. So a natural way to do that is to use Model Context Protocol, about which we kind of alluded earlier. Model Context Protocol is a protocol from Anthropic, the makers of Claude Desktop and Claude, the AI model. And basically, it's a protocol by which you can connect your applications to models, to business logic. Mm-hmm. So we're going to extract our logic out into a separate Model Context Protocol service, start.spring.io. I shall call this service, I guess, or scheduler. There you go. We'll bring in the Model Context Protocol server support, the web support, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't, whatever. You can bring in other stuff if you want. Okay. CD downloads.
And presumably you need a client from the other one, or that's
I'll do that.
Added? Yeah. Okay.
I forgot to add that in the beginning. Let me just copy and paste it here. So Model Context Protocol client. And where's the dependency here? There you go. That's our purchase. That's our entry into the wide world of MCP. Go over here. Command-Shift-I to reload the pom.xml. Oh, two dependencies. Okay, fine. And I'm going to take this code that I so toiled over from here, this patent-pending unique algorithm specific to our organization. I'll cut that code, go over here to the scheduler, paste the code, and then I'm going to tell Spring AI support to export that logic and make it available as an MCP endpoint. Okay. And to do that, I'll specify the tool object, which is here. So dog adoption scheduler. Okay. And I want this to run on a separate port, naturally. So I'll say 8081, let's say. Going back over here, I've got a compiler error-shaped hole in my code base. And the way I alleviate that is by configuring an MCP sync client. So tools configuration, bean, MCP sync client. And it's basically var, MCP. I remember you and I talking about var and not var.
Oh, wow.
Ages ago. Years ago. Yeah. That was a thing. Okay. Yeah. So HTTP, I mean, close enough. Actually, I don't know what that just hallucinated, but it was close enough. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then build. So there's that, and I return MCP, and I call MCP.initialize. Now, the protocol is really new, really new, right? Yeah. And actually, this config class is a little redundant. By definition, this is also a config class. This is a new protocol, and the Spring AI team. Oh, this is not going to compile still. We need this MCP sync client, and then down here, where's this new sync? There you go, scheduler. The Spring AI team were among the first to develop support for it. We actually wrote the Java SDK for Model Context Protocol. So if you go to modelcontextprotocol.io, the Spring AI abstraction for MCP, the library that we wrote, is the official recommended Java one. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, so we extracted out the code, put it in that common place, and then rebased our Spring AI auto configuration and integrations on top of that, right? But it is the default. We did that in the first weeks of November, right after they announced the protocol, right? We are huge fans of that. Okay, so now I've got two apps, right? One over here, one over there. Let's just connect them, right? So same magic trick. Do you have any neurotic dogs? And fantastic.
Can we schedule an appointment?
London, May 10.
Okay, so exactly the same, but this time going through the MCP client.
On port 8081, down here, instead of over here.
Yep.
So through the magic of MCP, we've connected these things that would otherwise not have been connected. It's an amazing time. An amazing time to be a AI and Spring developer.
Awesome.
And obviously, at this point, you go here, Maven, skip tests, P native :compile. Right? We can build we can focus on observability, right? So let me actually do a couple things here. We're going to do exposure include is all that. I'll restart this, okay? And then on the command line, go over here. We're going to run that in the background so I can show you something while it's doing a native image compilation. Actuator. I've got all these observability endpoints.
Yeah.
I can go here, go to the metrics, and you've got things like your GenAI client token usage, right? And it says, hey, you've got this this metric that's being counted. And so it says I've made 4 calls to the model so far. And you want to keep an eye on this, right? If you want to, this is all powered by Micrometer.
Yeah.
And Micrometer has so time series. It's an integration with popular time series databases to do observability around this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you've heard about all those people that had AI, AWS bills, whatever, that ran amok by accident. They auto scaled to like 1 million nodes and now they're bankrupt, right? Same thing with your token count. You want to be very careful that you're keeping an eye on that. So production worthiness is important here, right? We've also got virtual threads, right? You should definitely turn that on by default. Every single call you make to an AI model is a call over a network, right? And that call over the network is that frozen? No, it's good.
No.
Every call you make to a model is a network call, and that network call monopolizes time on a thread. That thread is blocking I/O. That's the thing you want to put on virtual threads. Okay, here's my native image. Let's go ahead and stop this. Okay, and target assistant. There we are. There's the application up and running in no time at all. It's talking. Oh, because it initialized everything or something. I don't know. Why did it take so long? Let's try it again. It's doing some network I/O. That's really obscene.
Which on conference Wi-Fi probably won't be
great. Something like that. Yeah. Okay. And where's the process identifier? Here. PS-O RSS. 147 megs. Divide by 1,000. That's megabytes. So divide by 1,000. Or that's kilobytes. So divide by 1,000. You get megabytes. Yeah. This is what we mean. End-to-end production worthy AI systems and services.
Yeah. And so when that number gets too high, what should happen? Is this an indicator that we need to just be? Is it an indicator we need to think about usage? We need to think about
which number, the RAM or the tokens?
The tokens.
The one in the metrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, be mindful. I just don't want you to be in a situation where you've got to
at least be knowledgeable about what your usage is.
It's not unlimited. It's not free, and this is why it's obvious. But it's worth remembering that they make money the more tokens you spend.
Right.
Their business model isn't necessarily aligned with yours.
Yeah.
I want to provide AI to my users.
Yeah.
They provide AI.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we are aligned. But make sure that's always true, right?
Yeah.
Keep an eye.
Particularly when those conversations and those threads happen, and you're constantly sending your entire history.
Successively larger.
Yeah.
Prompt bombs, right?
Yeah. Cool, Josh. This has been amazing.
You're amazing.
Thank you for screen sharing and showing us Spring AI in real time.
Yeah, cheers.
It's been great to see. Thank you all for watching, and see you on the next episode.